preliminary humor.
Just the jokes.
Yeah.
So
that's why I turned it on, because I felt sorry.
Only learning for you, sorry.
It's fine. Yeah. Okay, right. Anyway. Okay, where are we up to? Let's we need to go over this piece a bit again. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're going to go over the story again. We're going to go over again from Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9 lines from the end of the Omad. Krive dar Idi bar Ovin, the relative of Idi bar Ovin, Shachiv, he passed away. V'shovak dikla, and he left over a palm tree. Rav Idi bar Ovin Omar, Rav Idi bar Ovin said, I'm a closer relative. Another guy said, I'm a closer relative. So they both have an argument as to who is closer and therefore who gets the palm tree. At the end, he admitted that he was in fact a closer relative. The other guy admitted that Ravidi was a closer relative. So Rav Chisda gave it to him because he'd admitted, he gave it to Ravidi. But then Ravidi wasn't content with just that. He said to Rav Chisda, I want all the fruit that he's eaten from that time until now, right? He's been eating the dates illegally. Omar, he said, Rav Chisda said, is that what they say about Ravidi, that he's a great person? Who are you relying on? On this guy. You're relying on him. He is the one who said, he is the one who admitted that in fact you're the closer relative. Right? He had said until now that he was the closer relative until this point in time. Your whole right to the tree only comes, okay, because he now has admitted that you're in fact closer relative, and therefore until this point it was called alim gvar, whoever wins, whoever stronger wins, and it's only from now onwards that you have a right to the palm tree, so you can't retroactively claim the fruit. Now this is obviously challenged. Abai v'Rabba l'Sfilu Hod Rav Chisda, they dispute this. They say, "Kivan to Odi. What do you mean? Since he's admitted, he's admitted. If he admits, right, that Rav Idi is a closer relative, then that's surely game over. It's over. The argument's over the palm tree. Once you've admitted that the other guy is a closer relative than you, and therefore inherits the palm tree before you, because he is a first cousin and you are a second cousin, and there are no other surviving relatives, for example, then obviously you being the first cousin means that the other guy wasn't allowed to eat the fruit, so you should get all of that as well. That's Rabbi and Robbert's opinion. So the big question here, effectively, is how to understand Rav Chisda. Why was it? What was Rav Chisda's logic in saying no? Only from this point onwards are you entitled to the tree, if you like, right? That was the question. That was the question. And what we saw last time was we saw the Rashbam, and then we basically did at least some of this Rashbam here on the top of Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph, where the Rashbam says since he's admitted that he hadn't used it, that he used it illegally until now, he's admitted Yishalim Perish Achal, and he has to pay the fruit that he's consumed. B'chein halacha, that's halacha. Yesh for him, second line top of Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis in Rashbam. There are texts shekosu bohem that they say in them, it writes in them, I see Rav Idi bar Ovin Sadi to have a korev. So Rav Idi bar Ovin brought Eidim that he was a relative. So he didn't bring, in other words, he didn't admit anything, right? All he did was he had witnesses. So until that point, no one had any Eidim. I say I'm the close relative. You say you're the close relative. It's my word against yours. Rav Idi comes along and brings Eidim that he's the closer relative, right? That he's a relative. Sorry, that he's a relative. That's all they say, that he is a relative. And Rav Chisda gave it to him. And he says, the Gamrein Chananel Pirish came. And that's how Rabbeinu Chananel explained it as well. Rabbeinu Chananel explains it this way as well. And that's how it works. And in fact, Tosfos also brings this text to Rabbeinu Chananel, and this version of Rabbeinu Chananel, and the Re agrees with Rabbeinu Chananel as well, that there's no admission going on at all. All there is Rav Idi bringing Eidim that he is a relative. He is a relative. And then we can understand that we can understand Rav Chisda, because these Eidim know nothing about the other guy. All they do is say, you Ravidi are a relative, right? So on that, if you look at Rashbam carries on, Omalei Rav Chisda the Maika Samachta, da Achilnu Leperi, on what are you relying that you consume the fruit? On his admission, so he until now claimed that he was the closer relative. Sadi the ISIS, and you, the witnesses that you brought, Lomas Hadi, they didn't testify to Ant Korov, right? That you were they didn't say anything about him. They didn't say he's not a legitimate inheritor, right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was the word. Yeah. Elo Asadi the Ant Korov. They just testified to Ant Korov that you are a relative. They don't know anything about him. And because he could have just said, I didn't eat anything, he could have said, I didn't eat any fruit at all, right? In other words, the only way you have knowledge about the fruit is because he has said that he ate the fruit. He could have denied the whole thing. And therefore, he can also say, I ate fruit, but it was mine. Classic migo. Because I'm a close relative. The witnesses don't contradict that. And that's why Rav Chisda says you do not remove it from him. Okay? Because although we say you cannot say a migo b'mokum eidim, right? The next sugya is the next sugya, small sugya, that's what it talks about. You can't say a migo b'mokum eidim. That means to say, if all I have is a logical argument, well, I could have given a better argument and I didn't, so believe me when I give this one, right? Yeah, if I was lying, I would have said a better lie. That's what migo is, right? Since I could have said a better lie if I was lying, right? Then believe me when I say a worse lie, a lie that's not as good. Yeah. Now that's a migo, and that doesn't be Eidim. If they're Eidim challenging that, doesn't work. Here, the Eidim aren't challenging that at all. The Eidim don't. It's totally different things. All the Eidim do is say that Ravidi is a relative, right? Nothing to do with the other guy consuming the fruit, whatever. So he could have if he was lying, okay, he could have just denied that he ate any fruit, and he would have been believed. So when he says, I did eat the fruit and I legitimately consumed the fruit because I'm a closer relative than Rav Idi. And remember, the Eidim do not contradict that because they know nothing about this other guy. They're just saying Rav Idi is a first cousin. He could be a brother of the other guy. They've got no clue, right? Therefore Rav Chisda says, you have no claim, Rav Idi, to the fruit.
He never said I ate. It's just that Rav Idi.
No, he did. He said, look, he came along and said, Lahada. Ravidi said,
Give me the fruit
that you ate. You're saying he didn't admit it. This is Rashbam's question. Yeah, this is Rashbam's question. Well, but
Rashbam was clarifying the
no, but Jeremy says, where do you see in the Gemora that this guy admitted that he ventured the information that he consumed the fruit of the palm tree? The Gemora doesn't say that.
I thought he admitted that the other guy is a close relative.
No. We changed the text. Remember, we're going with the Bein Hachanan.
Yeah.
So the Girsa is totally different. There's no Lusof Odi Lady. There's no admission. There's nothing. All there is two people arguing who's a closer relative. One of them, Ravidi, brings Eidim that he is a relative. Now, obviously, that means he gets the tree because the other guy's got no evidence and you've got evidence. Obviously, you get the tree, right? Clearly, if I come along with Eidim and you've got no Eidim, I win, right? But the Eidim do not know anything about the other person. They know nothing about him. He could be a much closer relative, no idea, right? So his argument is, when Ravidi says, please give me back all the fruit that you've eaten, since I get the tree, all of that fruit that you ate was illegal. You should never have eaten it. You've got to pay me back. The other guy says, 1 second, why should I give you back the fruit? I could have denied, that I ate anything, and I would have been believed, because who would have contradicted me? There's no knowledge that I ate any fruit at all, right? It's only because I've admitted it. This is where Rav Bein Hachanan understands it, right? Therefore, you should believe me when I say that I did eat the fruit because I was a closer relative. That's a migo. But that whole migo is built, this is Jeremy's question, on the assumption that the only way we have knowledge about this fruit is because of the guy standing up and saying, I admit that I consumed the fruit of this tree. But it doesn't say that in the Gemara.
Sorry, I've got a completely different understanding of the case.
Okay.
On the first of Cheshvan, this guy dies.
Yeah.
They go to Beis Din, Rabbi Birnbaum and Hahu Gavra.
Yeah.
Go to Beis Din. Hahu Gavra says, I'm his closest relative.
Yeah.
The tree's mine. And then, I don't know, on Tu B'Shvat, this Hahu Gavra comes back to Beis Din and goes, you know what, I made a mistake. But actually is the first cousin, I'm only a second cousin twice. The tree says. Rabbi Birnbaum says, thank you, I have nothing in with the tree. And I want you to pay me for all the fruit you've eaten over the last, whatever it is, 4 months.
No, but that was the case. But Rabbi Yochanan has a totally different text in the Gemara.
Right. I think the only difference Rabbi Yochanan is coming along is that the original case in the first of Cheshvan.
Yeah.
Is Rabbi Birnbaum came with 2 Eidim. It says, yeah.
No. He never changed that. There was an original argument about who is a closer relative without Eidim. Then Rav Idi brought Eidim that he was a relative. There's no admission. The other guys admitted nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
That's of course. So he gets the tree.
Second,
Yeah. So he gets the tree. Yeah.
He gets the tree.
He gets the tree. And then he also claims the fruit. And that the other guy refuses to give.
Wait, so the only reason why he gets it is because he has Eidim.
He gets the tree. That's why he gets the tree.
The only reason why he gets the tree is because now he's got Eidim.
Because now he's got Eidim. Yeah.
He's got the stronger claim.
I thought, okay.
Yeah. He gets the tree. But he also claims the fruit. And that the other guy says, why should I give you the fruit? I've got a migo. Migo, since I could have just denied that I ate the fruit altogether and I would have been believed. Because how do you know about the fruit? Only from me. Right? Only because I told you I ate the fruit. I could have just denied that altogether and I would have been believed. So if you should believe me when I say that I ate the fruit legitimately because I'm a closer relative, and that is not contradicted by the Eidim, because the Eidim say nothing about the other guy. They say nothing about him, whether he's a relative or not. They don't give a view on it. All they do is say, Ravidi, you are a relative, you are a kohen, right? Now, the Rashbam's problem, I skip the brackets and it's at the end, which is Rashbam asked Jeremy's question. The Rashbam, one second, let's just see this, 1 second. Yeah. Velona Hiroli. You see the last 4 lines? Skip the brackets. Velona Hiroli. Yeah. You see it? Last, yeah. This does not seem correct to me, says the Rashbam. So Halo Mucha Chol Sugya de Shmaita. Our Gemara doesn't say anywhere Shahoda al Achila Saperis that he admitted the eating of the fruit. Elo Eidim Hoy B'Dovo. There were witnesses about the issue, but he couldn't deny it. There was never any, that wasn't something where, it doesn't say anywhere that in the Gemara that he admitted that he consumed the fruit, right? The logical way to learn the Gemara without inserting some new piece of knowledge that's a big assumption that the Gemara does not make is that when Ravidi says, please can I have the fruit back, that is not a disputable fact. That's the simple way of reading the Gemara. You understand? There's a debate about the tree. Who owns the tree, right? Ravidi in the end brought Eidim, so everyone now agrees he's going to get the tree because he's got Eidim that he owns, according to the Rabbi Birnbaum's version, right? He's got Eidim that he owns it and therefore he gets the tree. And then he turns around and says, please can I have the fruit? And the other guy says, no, you can't have the fruit. And that's what comes before Rav Chisda to adjudicate on. So there doesn't seem to be in the Gemara any question about their facts. Do you understand? The facts, you read the simple words of the Gemara, there's no debate about whether or not the Hahu Gavra, the other guy, consumed the fruit or not. That's not a debatable point.
He doesn't deny it.
He doesn't deny it.
Is that enough?
No.
Because he doesn't deny it.
Yeah, because he doesn't deny it. Ravidi says, please can I have the fruit back? And the guy says no, right? But it doesn't say anywhere that he denies that.
Yes, just Rav Chisda says.
Yeah, exactly. And therefore the Rashbam does not like.
It's not really
Yeah.
You don't need to invoke Mikveh, that's what they say.
There is no migveh.
But why would
And if there's no, and therefore, yeah, and if there's no, if we have external knowledge that you ate the fruit, then your whole right and argument that you should believe me because of a migveh is wrong. It doesn't exist. You don't have a migveh because you couldn't deny that you ate the fruit because everyone knows that you consumed. There were Eidim that you ate the fruit. Everyone knows that you consumed the fruit. And therefore you're stuck, right? Therefore you're stuck. Why should it be that how is it possible that he can be that Rav Chisda could possibly say that you are entitled, that he should be believed about the about the fruit? All right.
Doesn't he just have the second half of the statement? Doesn't he just need the second half to say that I'm a closer relative? Doesn't have to assert that he ate the fruit. It's the miggle is a bit about being closer relative.
No, that's not. Okay, what you have to know, what is the miggo? What is the miggo coming to do? He's coming to try and he wants to hold on to the fruit. He's lost the tree and he wants to hold on to the fruit. So he comes along with a logical argument that he's telling the truth. That's what a miggo is. Miggo means if I was lying, I would have said a better lie. That's the miggo. Miggo means since if I were malo l'shaker, that's the full way of phrasing it, right? Malo l'shaker means why would he lie? Why would he lie? Right? Malo l'shaker, right? He could have said something better. All right? If he was lying, if you're going to lie, you're going to give the best lie. The best lie is what? I didn't eat anything. So I'm going to get. That's clearly a better line to go down if you're going to lie and try and and not have to pay back what you've eaten. Clearly a better line to go down is I didn't actually eat anything, rather than saying, I did, but it's mine, and I'm actually a closer relative than you, even though you've got Adam, your relative, and I don't have any Adam. It's getting a bit difficult, right? So therefore he says the migoy is, if I was lying, I would have just said something really simple, like I didn't eat the fruit. So why did I say this whole convoluted thing? Yeah, exactly. That proves that I'm telling the truth. The fact that I admitted that I ate the fruit and I did that on the basis that I'm a closer relative, all that proves that I'm telling the truth, and therefore I got to keep it. The Rashbam problem is that you can't read that into the Gemora, because the Gemora doesn't say that there was any, that it was all his own admission that he ate the fruit. That's not the simple way of reading the Gemora. The simple way of the Gemora is that it's a fact that he ate the fruit. There's no debate about the fruit.
Why would it be an issue with fruit if you don't the tree?
When he wants to get the fruit back.
Fruit will be plucked.
Rav Idi wants the guy to pay him back for all the fruit that he's consumed of the tree illegally, because it was his tree. Because it was his tree.
But we're saying, I thought you were saying that he's entitled to the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Surely, when he's entitled to the tree, then he's also entitled to the tree.
Well, that's his argument. That's Rav Idi's argument, and the other guy challenges him and says no. All you've got is Aiden, that you are a relative. Aiden know nothing about me. I could be closer than you.
Well, what I'm saying to you is that if it's tied to the tree and the produce of the tree, it would also. I meuld have thought.
Whether it's a migui or not a migui.
I'm saying what's the such with the fruit? Is the tree?
No. But he wants the fruit. Rav Idi wants him to pay back the fruit that he consumed. He's arguing in Basin. He's saying, I want the fruit too.
Why is it?
Is the question asked is why do you need to make what he said? Why don't you just say I'm close relative? Because he's outgunned by anything.
Because he can't. Yes, he can't do that. He can't. He's not. The reason why he's lost the tree is because if you bring Adam and Basin that you are a relative, and I stand up and say yes, but I'm a closer relative, we'll say prove it, right? So the only leg you've got to stand on, which is a very shaky leg anyway, is that yes, it's true that you have proof that you're a relative, right? But I'm a closer relative, and therefore I'm not going to give up the fruit, because on the fruit I have believability. Because now that's not denied. That is not something contradicted by the Adam. Again, remember, this is a bit complicated, but remember that a migoy, yes, can never beat Adam. So I cannot come along and argue that I have any logical grounds to having the tree. Any migoy I try and concoct, it does not. It immediately falls the first hurdle if they're Adam. So if you've got Adam, you're a relative, I can't come up with a logical argument. Yeah, but because I've given this funny argument that I'm a closer relative when I could have just denied the whole thing, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for the tree because it's contradicting the Adam. But on the fruit, there's no contradiction to the Adam. There's no contradiction on the fruit to the Adam. Adam are not discussing. They're not discussing that. They don't know anything about the other guy, and he brought up the whole issue of the fruit in the first place. This is the This is the way the Rabbeinu Hananel wants to understand the Gemara. The Rashbam is not happy with it, as we said, because he says it goes against the words in the Gemara. The Gemara doesn't talk about anyone. We know about the fruit. There's no admission and there's no migoy on that. There's like, I could have denied all. You couldn't have denied the whole thing. So therefore, that doesn't work. If you look at the brackets here, the brackets is the Haggadah. There's a note on the Rashbam. He says, "Lo hi shahoda shachal hapeiros," not that he admitted that he ate the fruit. It's not correct that's not the case. Doesn't seem correct to him that he admitted about eating the fruit. There were witnesses that he consumed it, and he could not deny it. There were definitely eidim there, as the Rashbam himself says. And therefore, this is a major question on Rabbeinu Hananel. Literally means that his master should forgive him. Hashem should forgive him. Who says that he admitted on the eating of the fruit? He admitted about the he admitted only about the land. So that's what he admitted. That's what he admitted about. That which he had eaten until this point in time, we will not remove them from him. We will not remove him. We will not remove him. Remove from him. Since there was no, now he's going to explain. This bit is explaining the Rashbam's own view. The Rashbam's own opinion is that even though we have witnesses, right? We have witnesses that that the Rashbam again. So. Let's just go back a step a second. Rabbeinu Hananel, Rabbeinu Hananel's opinion, the Rashbam does not like, right? Rabbeinu Hananel changed the text of the Gemara to say that there was no admission going on, right? There's no admission at all. All there was Ravidi having Eidim. The Eidim came along and that gave him the tree, and the whole debate was only about the fruit. And the question was, can a migoy, be good enough to get him the fruit or not? And that's the debate between Rav Chisda and Rabbi Birnbaum, right? Rashbam doesn't like that because of the facts of the case. That migoy stands on an admission that he admitted that he ate the fruit, right? And we wouldn't have known about it if not for his own admission. So therefore, Rashbam dismisses the approach of Rabbeinu Hananel out of hand. But then we need to go back to our original problem, which was, if there is no Eidim involved, what are we relying on? No. Admission. How do we learn? That's the way we've got it in the Gemara. The sof delay. No, at the end, he admitted to him that in fact, what did he admit? Yeah, the Ravidi was a closer relative.
It's not an admission about the
Yeah, exactly. It's a admission about the closer relative, right? So the problem we had is that, okay, so we've discounted Rabbeinu Hananel according to Rashbam's opinion. We're not going with Rabbeinu Hananel. There's no Eidim involved, right? There is simply an admission. The other guy is Moida. I agree to your Ravidi. I was wrong. You are the closer relative. The tree is yours. But what was our problem? If the tree is mine, how can you lay any claim to the fruit? That was a question we started the shir with, right? I know it's a bit tricky, but we've gone onto a side track to try and solve it with a different text in the Gemara, right? That there's no admission and there was Eidim, but we that sidetrack. So it's like going to a pit stop. You can come back now, okay? Because that sidetrack did not work. Okay? You understand? It did not work to help according to Rashbam, all right? So now we're back on the main track. We're back on the main road again, and according to the main pathway, at least the Rashbam's perspective, okay, the case is no Eidim. The case is admission. The guy admits and says, Ravidi, you're the close relative. So we're back to square one. If that's the case, how on earth can he lay claim to the fruit? If he's admitting you're a closer relative, that means the tree is yours. And how could I ever eat the fruit of that tree? How can I make any claim to it? How can Rav Chisda say it's only yours from this point on in time, right? But from beforehand, it's not. What do you mean? It's my tree. So he says the Rashbam, or whoever wrote this note, we don't remove from him what he's eaten until now. Kivon deleka eidim badovar shavidi because there are no witnesses that Ravidi was a closer relative, only this guy's admission. So Rav Chisda says, that admission works from this point on in time. not retrospectively. But Abai and Rava Sovri, Abai and Rava say no. To give him to Odi, since he's admitted, he's admitted.
How can any word from all points?
Sharei Hodas Baldin Kamea Eidim. The admission of one guy is 100 witnesses. And his mouth obligates him to pay money. And if we had this text, why would Rav Chisda not have this, not agree to this opinion? Okay, I'm not sure exactly how that. He's basically saying that this note on the Rashbam is saying that there is still a problem. There is still a problem. Maybe he's saying if we had Rabbeinu Chananel's opinion, then Rav Chisda certainly would have. There's no reason why, or maybe he's asking on the Rashbam himself, his opinion. Why would Rav Chisda not hold of that view? In other words, we are left a little bit stuck still with this problem. On Rav Chisda, on Rav Chisda. So 1 second. He says here. So there is another pshat which might work, although it doesn't seem to work in the Rashbam. That's the problem, and that's at the beginning of Tosfos on the first. I won't take you through the whole thing. But if you go back to Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph, the last Tosfos. So he says he has another girs in the Gemora, another text. Sof Odilei. At the end, he admitted to him. 1 second. He says like this: "Velo goris the iu korov tfei." So Tosfos does not have the text that he was a closer relative. He just did not want to. He didn't want to argue with Ravidi. V'nosan loy hadekel b'chino, and he gave him the tree for free. V'lo b'shvil she'akarav Yosef, not because he was a closer relative. So this is a third way of learning the Gemara, right? It's not that he came along afterwards and actually, oh, by the way, you're a closer relative. Because if that was the case, then the game's over. It's obvious it says, right? He didn't do that. All he did was he just says, I'm giving up. I don't want to argue with you again. You're a great rabbi. So here you have the tree. Forget it. Right? He gave him the tree for free. Right? Now, now Rav Chisda makes perfect sense. Do you understand? If he turns around the next day, they had their argument in Beis Din. I'm an close relative, you're a close relative. The guy goes to sleep, he wakes up in the morning, or whatever, and his wife says to him, I can't believe you had a fight with the God al Hadar. I can't believe you did that. It's ridiculous. I mean, like over a palm tree. Is it really worth your oil? You can imagine the conversation at home, right? So he goes back to Beis Din and he says, Moichel, basically, have the palm tree. Yeah, that's what he says to Ravidi. You understand? Yeah, he's not admitting anything. Doesn't know anything. He just didn't want to argue with him anymore. So he gave him the palm tree. That's why Rav Chisda says, he said originally, I'm a closer relative, and he just gave it to you out of his own volition. He didn't give it to you because you're a closer relative. How can you claim the fruit? Do you understand? Rav Chisda turns around to Ravidi and says, this is what they say, you're a great man. Well, you know that actually there was no admission on the part of the other guy, right? That you were the real relative or the closest relative. He just couldn't be bothered to fight anymore. And he says, here you go, have the palm tree. So it's entirely on the basis of his forgiving you or just giving it to you. And therefore that only works from this point in time onwards. Yeah, it's a third girsa, right?
That's why it's only perspective.
Exactly. Now it makes sense. It's only perspective because I'm not admitting anything about your. I'm just giving you the palm tree, giving you the tree from now onwards, right? What about Abai and Rava? How comes they say it does work retrospectively? So they say, given to Odi, since he's admitted. They say there's a logic here that it's unlikely that he would have given it away just because his wife drove him mad. More logical that he gave it over to him because he was genuinely the closer relative, right? That's probably what happened. Okay. But it doesn't like that so much either because he says the word admission is difficult because he does say the Gemora does use the word l'sof odile. In other words, even if you take out the words iu koriv tfei, he's a closer relative. He's not changing the word. At the next day, he admitted. Or what did he admit? He didn't admit anything. He just gave it to him as a gift. So it doesn't really fit with the words either. And also, says Tosfos, the svara of Abai and Rava is also a bit dodgy. Like, it's a bit weird why it should work retrospectively. Who says? You know, what are they saying? They're saying, well, logically, because he agreed to give it to him as a gift, therefore it's probably because he really knew that Ravidi was a closer relative, and therefore Ravidi gets the fruit as well. That's a bit of a shaky argument, because it could just be, like we said originally, it's exactly. It's a presumption that he, in fact, whatever, who says that was in fact that is in fact the story. So what are we left with? 3 different options, neither of which provide us with a perfect resolution of the sugya. But
Is this a suggestion about the fruit in the tree being divided, indivisible?
Well, no, there is. That's exactly what Rav Chisda says, that they are divisible. And Abai Robert says they're not. And the question is how to understand that. And the problem is, you see clearly, one second, you see clearly, one second. It doesn't seem, ideally, you'd want to say that the Rashbam learns like this first approach of Tosfos. The problem is that the implication from what we've seen is that the Rashbam didn't learn like that, and the Rashbam had the text that we have, which is that admittedly he's a closer relative. So the only way to deal with it is just as we've said, which is a bit difficult to understand, which is the fact that that Rav Chisda somehow does view it, if you like, retrospective. No, not retrospectively. Sorry, even though he's admitted that he's a closer relative, it doesn't work retrospectively. I just want to see one thing. One second. Okay. Yeah. One second. Even though there's Adim on the fruit, it's still difficult to understand. Basically, there's one line in the Rashbam which might help us understand Rav Chisda according to the Rashbam's version of events, and that is that even though it's clearly established that the guy ate the fruit, because that's the Rashbam's argument against Rina Chanana, we know that that's not up for debate. Number one. Number two, according to the Rashbam's version, are you with me? Sort of. Yeah. The Rashbam. According to the Rashbam's version of events, the guy has owned up in court that in fact Ravidi is a closer relative, which is what we're struggling with. So why doesn't he get all the fruit? Because he's opened up. Yeah. Okay. Says the Maharsha like this. Even though there are Eidim that he ate the fruit, we don't take it away according to Rav Chisda the fruit. There is no witnesses that Rav Idi is a closer relative. It's only his admission. He admitted that Rav Idi was a closer relative. There was no Eidim according to Rashbam, right? He just admitted you're a closer relative. The Ne'eman Loma D'lo Ochal, and therefore he's believed to say that he did not consume the fruit. B'migo de'ein Rav Idi kor Rav Yosef. Since he could have said that Rav Idi is not a closer relative. So he could have said that Rav Idi is not a closer relative. Yeah.
He did say Rav Idi was a closer relative. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So if you say he didn't say it, there's no case.
But also, how could he say he didn't eat?
quite hard.
How could he say he did not eat the fruit? I thought we said that there was Adim that he ate the fruit. What?
It was known that he owned the fruit, and therefore, as a result, he ate it to the focus.
Yeah, although there seems to be Adim on that. Yes, there is. He's believed to say, interesting. Although here he's not really saying that he didn't. He's not really denying. So he's understanding that he did deny it. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, he is denying it. Okay, so in other words, like this. Basically, we're going to see in the next Gemora, the debate between Abai, and it's a very short piece, between Abai, Rava, and Rav Chisda, whether you can say a migo b'mokum Eidim. Can you say a migo if Eidim disagree with you? If you're going
in that case though of migo b'mokum Eidim,
yeah.
Do the Eidim need to contradict the migo itself?
Well, that's going to be the debate. We'll see. We'll see what the case is in a second, right? We'll see the classic case of migo b'mokum Eidim in a second, right? But the point here is that Rav Chisda says that the person who was arguing with Rav Idi argued to be believed, even though there was Eidim that he ate the fruit, he still wanted to use a migoy. And what was his migoy? Since I could have said that I did not eat the fruit, since I could have said that I would not eat the fruit, you should believe me when I say, right, that Rav Idi is not a closer relative than me, which again was only on his admission. So with regard, he was the one who said Rav Idi was a closer relative, right? So Migo could have said that Rav Idi was not a closer relative because it was only his admission that said that. So you should believe me when I say I didn't eat the fruit. And Abai and Rava say, no, you can't do that because there is no such thing as a Migo here because there are Eidim who contradict you. So that is the debate. Can you say a Migo, can you construct a Migo argument if the argument is fundamentally contradicted by Eidim? So you can't, can you come along and say, remember, the only person who admitted, the only way we know that Rav Idi was a closer relative was it's the other guy. The other guy admitted this, is you're actually a closer relative. So he now says like this, okay, it's true I admitted you're a closer relative. That was very nice of me. Very nice of me because you got the palm tree. But you know what? With the fruit, I could have said, if I wanted, that I didn't eat any fruit. I could have said I didn't eat any fruit, right? And you would have believed me, right? Migo, since I could have said that you weren't a closer relative. That would have been a much better way of saying. I could have not come up with the information that you were a closer relative. I could not venture that information, and then I would have stayed with everything.
No, that's a question of their modest, whether he's believed to say this or say that. But there's two different points. One's the point of whether he ate from the fruit from the tree,
Yeah,
and the other is whether who's the Korah. So you're bringing in two different elements into a migo.
yes, that's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point.
I always understood the migo was where, believe me now, because I tell you this lie, because
I could have said it better. Oh, so what would the no? But it is the same. It is the same because again, the key question. What does he want to get out of this? The other guy. He wants. Yeah, he doesn't want to have to pay back the fruit. He's lost the tree, but I don't want to pay. I want to pay £500 for all the fruit that I've eaten for the past year. That's what he wants to get out of this, right? So he says like this: because I was the one who admitted that you were the relative. Okay, so I could have just not done that. Migo could have denied that whole thing. And then no one's going to remove the fruit from me, are they? Right? So therefore, you should believe me when I say that you are the closer relative, but I never ate.
No, but I'm also struggling against the same point with Rabbi Birnbaum, which is, isn't a Migo saying I used a weaker argument, I could have used a stronger argument. But here, both of the arguments are equally strong because they both defeat the claim. You can't say one stronger than the other.
No, it is weaker. It is. No, it's weaker. It's weaker because it's contradicted by Eidim.
No, what Paul is saying.
It's definitely weaker.
The argument that he's putting forward that I could have said I wasn't.
Yes.
That Rav Idi was not the close relative. Doesn't necessarily have any bearing on his truthfulness apropos the fruit. There is no connection. They're completely non sequiturs.
Right.
They're two different defenses.
Yeah.
to defeat the claim for paying for the fruit. One is the relationship,
Yes.
and
What-
one is it didn't eat it.
But
So
either
you
of
can't say
them,
you can't say one is stronger than the other.
I-
Didn't eat it for him.
yeah. Either of them are. You're saying that either of them are means to get.
They're a complete defensive mechanism.
Yeah. But the point is that no. The point is like this. The point is like this. It's not so much it's a better lie or not. It's better in the sense that he would be in a much stronger position altogether if he had not admitted that Ravidi was a closer relative. And he is arguing that gives me a grounds to believe you. That's credibility.
I wouldn't buy that.
Yeah, okay, it's difficult. It's
Well,
difficult.
I would say
I'm not going to deny it. The whole piece is difficult. So I'm not going to deny this. Right?
quite clear that your conscience,
Yeah.
quite clear that your conscience made you come to the
Yeah,
Lord,
yeah. No, it's
acknowledge Rabbi's superior claim.
yeah. It's a fair point. But this is how they're struggling to understand. To try and understand the Gemora. Let's see the next piece. It's only a short piece because that will help us understand the classic case of Migo Mokametiv. That's what we're going to deal with now. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
The rock solid conclusion I get from this
Yeah.
is that Kol Da'alim
Yes. Yeah.
actually has no sense of real ownership.
So Kol Da'alim Gvar, I'm kind of a few times I'm kind of putting on ice because we're going to get there. The sugya of Kol Da'alim Gvar is on Lamed Daled Amud Beis. It's a daf and a half away. Okay, the sugya of Kol Da'alim Gvar. So let's wait because then that's all debated there as to what exactly it is and does it work and is it a psak or is it a siluk? Is it based on removing themselves or is it actually a psak? Then
Because Rabbi Birnbaum is saying that the guy's sense of ownership of this tree in between his two periods is the case of Kol Da'alim Gvar. So
yeah, that's true.
Respectively, that means that he didn't have a real.
It could be. That might depend on that. Yeah. We'll see when we get there. So we're top of the Amud Gimel Amud Beis. Zeh Meshel Avosai. This one says it belongs to my ancestors. V'zeh Oy Meshel Avosai. And this one says it belongs to my ancestors. So there's a debate who it belongs to. Where's the ancestral land from?
Are you really?
Yes, exactly. Are you sure? Are you really from there? Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. That's precisely what's going on. Yeah. Hi, Isisadi Davosehi. Yeah. Hi, Isisadi Davosehi. Yeah. This one brought Adim Davosehi, that it belongs to his ancestors. But hi, Isisadi the Ochal Shnei Chazaka. And the other guy brought Adim that he used it for 3 years Chazaka. So this is quite interesting. Because there's a very important Rashbam here, tiny Rashbam, one line. He brought Adim that they were his ancestors, ad yom Mosa, until their death. And they never sold it to the other guy's ancestors. That's very important because otherwise it should automatically go to the other guy. You have to understand the case, yes? I said it's my ancestors, it was my grandpa's, you said it was your grandpa's, right? And then I bring Adim that it was my ancestors, and you bring Adim, you got 3 years chazaka. Now, ostensibly, the second person, Shimon, who brought the Adim 3 years chazaka, he's in a really much stronger place because all he needs to do is have a believable claim, have a credible claim that goes with the chazaka, as we've learned, right? Chazaka with a credible claim, credible story means it's yours. You win. No star, finished, all good, right? The problem is here, he hasn't got a credible claim. Why? Because the other guy has Adim, that it was 100% his ancestors until they died, and they never sold it to the other guy's ancestors. You understand that? You understand or not? It's very important, this, because you see, the problem is that had he not started with a claim that it belongs to my ancestors, so he could have done a different claim. He could have said, I have 3 years chazaka, and I bought it from you, and he didn't do that. He said it belonged to my ancestors, and he said it belonged to his ancestors. Because he's a bit snookered here, the guy who's got a chazaka. Because it's true, he's got 3 years chazaka, and he's got Adim with that, and it's all wonderful. Jerry, press the eating, do you mind? Yeah, he's got, then people won't freeze, yeah? No, that's the on button, right? Chazak, yeah. The chazak, he's got chazak, right? He's got chazaka. He's got chazaka, right? That it is. So yeah. Problem is the other guy has brought Edim that it was his ancestors until they died, and they never sold it to this other chap's ancestors. So that means that he is left with a chazaka that's an orphan. Literally, it's a chazaka without a claim. It's like an orphan chazaka. It doesn't rest anywhere. You can't just be squatting without a story. Got to have a story. So that's what happens, right? Omar Rav Chisda says, Malo l'shaker. He's got a fantastic migo. Iboy Omalei. Why should he lie? Iboy, if he wanted, Omalei, he could have said to him, Minoch Savinta. They could have just said, I bought it from you. And I have it 3 years chazaka. What was that?
Not the ancestors down at this generation.
Who? Yeah, that's what he could have done. He could have said that. He could have said that, and he would have been 100% believed.
Yeah, the chazaka plus the claim.
Yeah, so that's right. So why shouldn't you believe him? Yeah, it's a migo. It's a migo, right? And therefore, you should believe him when he says what? That it was my ancestors. That's the migo. Since I could have said that I bought it from you, and that would match beautifully with my chazaka, and it wouldn't contradict your Eidim, because your Eidim are true, and your Eidim says that it was your ancestors and they gave it to you. That's true. That's all true. And I bought it from you. And that's why I bought it from you, and I got 3 years chazaka. Bang. And I could have done that. Migo, I could have said that, and it would have won straight off. Believe me that I'm telling the truth when I say it was my ancestors. What's the problem with that?
Defeating Eidim.
Yeah. As it is not. Abai v'Rava lo sfirlu hod Rav Chisda. Abai and Rava do not hold Rav Chisda. Mali l'shaker b'mokem Eidim lo ya'aminon. You cannot say an argument of Mali l'shaker. Why would I lie? I could have said this. You can't say that, but Mokum Eidim. It doesn't work. It doesn't defeat Eidim. The same thing, yeah. For intensive purposes. There are other migas. So there are other migas, I think, that are not necessarily based on Mali l'shaker, because miga literally means since. But this is what this one is.
It's only in the context of the Rashba. There was these Eidim are saying not just it belonged to his grandfather, but also that he never sold it. Is that right?
These Eidim are saying, no, all the Eidim are saying, no. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, oh, sorry, you're right. The Rashbam, yes. Yeah, 100%. It has to. The only way to understand, the sugya, right? And that's the end of the sugya, by the way. That's the end of this story, right? Is by saying that the other guy's Eidim, right? The Eidim of the ancestral that says it was your mom's ancestors have to have provided something which blocks the other guy's story that it belonged to his ancestors. Okay, it must be that way. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. And that's why that's what forces the Rashbam to say what he says. This is it over here in my shots. This as well.
Oh, I can give Aegis that he never sold.
What do you mean?
Like I know people who maybe not so much today who bought properties in Yerushalayim 20 years ago in position with the current tenant who's an elderly person. Live their days out in.
Okay.
So someone can come along and say, no, my grandmother owned that throughout all of her years. And you're going to come along and say, no, I bought it from her, but I just let her live there.
I've got Eidim. What do you mean? I've got Eidim that.
It's like a negative eight. It's like a negative Eidim.
What do you mean negative Eidim?
Because you're proving a negative.
Yeah, I'm proving a negative. How can I say you didn't sell something?
No, but they died.
No, that's right. No, that's right. No, all you say is, and the grandfather died. The grandfather died, and he did not sell it. And
yeah.
No.
Until they don't know. Until their death. Until they say it was belongs Adio Mosom. Yeah.
Quite difficult.
They never sold it. He's covered 2 points here, the Rashbam. He's covered both. He's covered both possibilities, right? The Eidim say it was his ancestors until they died, and there was never another sale that went on in the background. The Marshal says he had to say that because otherwise it wouldn't be a Mega Mokum Eidim, because he could just say it was my ancestors one day and they bought it from your ancestors, right?
But just in terms of the credibility, proving a negative is a very difficult thing. I know there are Eden making that assertion, but can't you just knock a hole in it and say, well, there may have been a private sale that the agents just weren't privy to, proving a negative. So there's a credibility problem with the agents.
What do you mean? Why is there credibility? Which agent? Which agent?
They were saying it was the ancestors until the day of death.
Okay.
So they can't know that for sure. They did a private secret transaction on the property. So there's
Well, they
credibility
can.
problem.
No, they can give that Edus. I mean, Edus.
But it's a credibility problem.
Well, we believe two Adim. We test them out properly.
Unless they followed around the whole every moment of the day. It's intrinsically unreliable. So they say whatever they want, but it's not reliable.
They could have been executives.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Especially in family affairs where someone doesn't want to upset.
Yeah. Okay. It's a fair point. It's a fair point. Let's see the next two Ashbams and see if it helps. Let's finish because I'm Omar of Chista, Malo Leshake. Right. So each of these two Ashbams analyze the key opinions of Rav Chista, and the first one is Rav Chista, and the second one is Rabbi Birnbaum. Rav Chista says, why would this person lie who has Eidei Chazaka, with that which he claims, the Shelavosopi, that it belongs to his ancestors? Right? Why would he be lying? Why would there be no point in if he was lying? There would be no point in him doing it in this way. Because Iboi, if he wanted, Hava Omalei Lahai Sheyeshloi Edus Ovus, the Bach skips out the words that this one who has testimony that belonged to his ancestors, he would have said to the other guy, Minoch Sevinta, I bought it from you, and I consumed it for 3 years chazaka. Hilkach, therefore, Migoi since. You see, use it interchangeably. The Motzi Toin Hochi, that he could claim this, the Yizke B'Tainozu, and he would get the land through this claim, and he did not bother, wasn't concerned to make this claim. So when he also claims that it belonged to his ancestors, even though that directly contradicts the Eidim, Meheimon, he's believed. That's what Chista's view. You with me? Chista's view is, since he could have made a perfectly valid claim and he would have got the land 100% if he just said, I bought it from you, okay? And he didn't do so. So that means there is a logic to say that he's telling the truth when he says it belongs to my ancestors, even though that is manifestly contradicting what the other guy has Eidus on. That's what Chista says. Abai and Rava disagree. Next Rashba, Malo l'shaker b'mokum edim lo. You cannot say a Malo l'shaker if it contradicts edim. Koloma means to say, Kol taina, any claim sh'adam tayin, which a person claims could go in. For example, Zeh sh'omar shalavosai. This one who says it belongs to my ancestors. V'ata rotze l'chaim al yidei mali l'shaker, and you want to fulfill it through the logic of mali l'shaker. That's migoi. That's how you want to say that he's telling the truth. The tainozu macheses edim, and this claim that he is saying, the words that he does say, my ancestors, that contradicts witnesses. We don't believe him. Why? Because the edim are testifying that what he's saying is false. It can't be your ancestors, say the edim. Because we know 1000% that it was the other guy's ancestors. So how can you fulfill and establish and believe him and put the land in his possession through the argument of Mali l'shaker? Why would he be lying? That gives him credibility, right? Because he could have said a better lie. That whole logic. What he actually exits his mouth is 100% a lie, because Adam say it belongs to the other guy's ancestors, and he said it belongs to my ancestors. The cheskas ashalosh shonim einoklu, and therefore, since you established that what comes out of his mouth is a lie, the chazaka alone of 3 years is nothing. It's irrelevant. The havyo lo chazaka she'enim otayno, because it's a chazaka without a claim. It's a chazaka which is orphaned from the claim, because the claim is a lie. What's the claim? What's the claim? The claim is it belongs to my ancestors. That's a lie, because the other guy's Adam as Adam that belongs to his ancestors. Adam means that what you said must be a lie. So you can't therefore come along with any argument of Mali Lashaki, if I was lying, why would I lie? Because I could have given, but you lied. You lied. You said it was your ancestors, and it was not.
The Chazaka doesn't upgrade what would have been a lie. It's something that maybe
No, because Chazaka cannot exist without a claim, okay? And we have manifestly proven that the claim is that you said must be a lie, okay? Because Adam contradicted it, okay? Therefore, there's no, therefore the claim doesn't exist. It disintegrates.
You could say that there's chazaka without claim. It could be that people know that this, people say that there is this.
But chazaka she'enim otayna is doesn't work. Full
That's
stop.
the question.
That's what the better fault. This doesn't work.
I'm saying to you, you say there's no claim without chazaka. You could say chazaka, no one brought a claim. No one brought it.
Well, you could say that you got chazaka, but all you're doing is squatting, and that's not good enough.
You could say chazaka, but you haven't done anything about it, and therefore.
Yeah, exactly. There's not, yes, yeah. But the Rashbam says, "V'hochi ilchason." This is indeed the halacha, like Abai and Rava, not like Rav Chisda.
Thank goodness for
Why?
because
Very difficult to understand.
logic is no one was saying sex would work.
Well, I think you'll have to discuss that with Rav Chisda, Jeremy. He may not agree.
Because he could have said, I bought it from you, and he didn't. But he didn't say it. That's the point. He didn't say it. In the other case, you don't give him the
No, but then you see now that we've learned this, one second, now that we've learned this, you can understand how the Marsha was trying to explain, if I've understood it correctly, the Rashbam, right? The case before was that there is a claim. You know, the guy admitted that you owe the thing, right? That you own the that you are the closer relative, right? There is Adim as well that he ate the fruit, because the Rashbam says that there's Adim he ate the fruit. So what leg has he got to stand on when he says, actually, I'm not giving you back the fruit? He's admitted that the other guy is a closer relative, and there are Adim that he consumed the fruit. So what on earth are you doing? We're not giving it back. How can Rav Chisda say it's only yours from here onwards and not retrospectively? The answer is because Rav Chisda holds that you can say a migoy b'mokum edim. So what migoy have you got? Migoy, believe me when I say I never ate the fruit, even though there are edim who say you did, right? Because you could have said that I'm a closer relative, or you could have not admitted that he was a closer relative, and then what would have happened? Then you kept the palm tree. And the fact that there are Adim you ate it wouldn't make a difference. The second half of the Miga is not contradicted by Adim. Do you understand? What's contradicted by Adim is always the first half, the bit that you actually said. There's two parts to a Mala L'Shaka, right? There's what you say and what you could have said. The could have said wasn't contradicted by the Adim, you just didn't say it. So here the could have said is, I could have said I bought it from you. No, Adim aren't contradicting that. You didn't say that. That's the problem. Abai and Rava say you didn't say that. Had you said that, great. What you said was manifestly contradicted by Adim. Rav Chisda says, no, even the logic of Miga is so strong, Ma'ala V'Shaki is so strong, right, that it gives you a believability over and above Adim. And that's why Rav Chisda in the previous case as well, because he says you can say a Miga b'mokum Adim, okay. So that's why in the previous case as well, he said you can keep the fruit. Yeah, you can keep the fruit because you're going to come along and say, I did not eat the fruit. That's how you have to understand it according to the way the Marsha understands, right? His actual words were, no, I didn't eat the fruit. And believe me, I didn't eat the fruit because I could have denied the whole thing. I could have said you weren't a closer relative. You weren't. I could have not admitted you were a relative. In which case, of course, I would have kept the fruit. Yeah, that's what is that a little bit? Is hopefully a little bit sort of clearer a bit. But I agree and understand that Rav Chisda's logic is difficult to understand how you can have a logical argument be changed. But we are out of time, so Mitzvah Hashem will continue with the next case next week. Thanks all for joining.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, see you soon. Thanks.